It's been a relatively eventful year for Indian MMA in 2024, up until May at least. And we've got another Indian making her UFC debut, a much anticipated UFC debut on June 8th in Louisville, Kentucky. We're talking about one Puja Cyclone Tomar. And it'll be interesting to see if she can take on the offensive capabilities of one Rayanne Amanda, who's coming into the fight with a 14-7 record. So now, as far as skills are concerned, Rayanne Amanda looks to be quite the finishing threat. She's very dangerous on the ground, an ex-Invicta champion, and she's got 10 finishes on her record. 10 finishes out of 14 wins, 2 KO, TKOs, and 8 submissions on her record. We're talking about arm bars, rear naked chokes, triangles, and if one really wants to look into a slightly deeper analysis of the fight, all of Puja's losses, bar one, have come by triangle or armbar. So it seems like she's a really dangerous threat on the ground. And again, I just talked about before, she's an ex-Invicta champion who lost a split decision in her first fight in the UFC against an actual 4-0 prospect called Talita Alankar. A little bit about Puja Tomar. Puja the Cyclone Tomar comes into the UFC with an 8-4 record. She has a bunch of wins by KO, TKO. In fact, in her latest fight in Matrix Fight Night, she fought a Russian, I think, Ukrainian girl called Anastasia Fevenova, if I'm not mistaken, her name is, and stopped her in the 4th round via strikes. Well, doctor stopped her, she couldn't come out for the 5th round, so it was ruled a TKO. Puja has been around the scene for quite a while. She's got a stoppage win against Bean Gwen. She beat Tenzin Pema and took Jojo Rajkumari to a split decision when Jojo had made a debut in the MFN as well. Puja as well, she's one of India's premier WMMA fighters, and there aren't many, but Puja has been at it for a long time and she's up there. She's been around the block and she's been training for a long time. She made her debut in 2013, which is back in the day, right? Like this is 11 years ago, at the SFL Contender Series, picked up 2 quick knockout wins and then took a hiatus for about 4 years after that. She came back in 2017 and fought in the SFL again at the time and took on Hannah Kemp, but sadly, because of the ground deficiencies and her skills lacking in that department, lost via armbar in the 3rd round. She won her next fight in the SFL against Tulsian Helen by punches in the 2nd round, but then once she moved on to slightly stiffer competition in 1FC, she started taking bad losses. She fought a girl called Tiffany Teo in her first fight, then got armbarred, and was also armbarred by another girl called Jahin. And she did win a split decision against Priscilla Lumban, but also lost to Bean Gwen, right, in 1FC. And in one of the worst losses that she had, she took on the very popular Stam Fairtex and basically took a very bad beating. After that, Puja moved on to the MFN, where she had a nice streak of 4 wins, and now, in fact, with the last win being for the Straw-weight title, and now she's fighting Rayanne Amanda in the UFC. So one must remember that Puja was the first female MFN champion, but in many ways her opponent was tailor-made for her stand-up style, right? In terms of analysis, Puja Tomar is a good striker, but she doesn't have the takedown defense needed to stop more traditional wrestling setups like double blast doubles or even single leg takedowns. It was clear in her fight with Jojo Rajkumari at MFN. And what she shares online of her training at Soma Fight Club right now is pretty much all stand-up. And look, we all know how unforgiving the UFC is to one-dimensional fighters, right? Again, but this could all be a ruse and she could just come out blasting singles and doubles, And I've personally seen her compete at ADCC India in 2020. So I do know that she has relatively decent grapplings and it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. In the UFC, especially in a promotion like the UFC, you need to have absolutely concussive power, like someone like an Alex Pereira, for guys to really stop shooting in on you. Otherwise, they will walk through your punches, grab you and take you down to the ground. And again, with a slightly deeper analysis, you notice that this is basically Rayanne Amanda's fight to lose. Her strengths play greatly into Puja Tomar's weaknesses and defensive liabilities. Rayanne is basically a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu and is incredibly accomplished on the ground, as evidenced by her 10 finishes out of her 14 wins. So she's very well versed in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, in wrestling, and in basically the grappling arts. Something that I'm not sure Puja has put a lot of training and a lot of time into. Puja, on the other hand, is a very good striker. She, again, comes from a wushu background, so therefore she understands the point fighting system very well. She understands distance management very well. She has a very bladed stance, which means her side kicks, her body kicks are very quick and they come up very fast. She doesn't have the traditional Thai kickboxing style where it's more power over speed and precision. right? But here she hits you and she hits you quick. And for a lot of women, that's pretty much more than enough to sort of carry them through the fight. And Puja doesn't have, as I said before, doesn't have that concussive power, but she's got very precise and very accurate striking. She's got a good snapping lead side switch kick. And the only issue I really see is in terms of her striking is with her hands. Her punches do not prevent her opponent from seeking the takedown. The threat of a takedown is always there, even with her hands. And that's a real problem. For guys like Alex Pereira, say a guy like Alex Pereira hits you, right? You're not going to think of taking the guy down again because the power is there. With Puja, she doesn't have that. Sure, she's got a couple of TKO wins on her record, but it's not like the girls that she was fighting have great submission defense or great ground defense as well. With a girl like Rayanne Amanda, who's about 21, 22 fights into her career and is incredibly experienced, Puja might not have the strength and the experience necessary to put a girl like Rayanne Amanda on the back foot or on the ground where she's going to be in trouble. Rayanne Amanda has got good takedowns, very good back control, good mount, excellent jiu-jitsu. And one thing I've noticed from her fights is that she transitions from positions very easily and very fluidly. And from the analysis of Puja's fight, she's had a really tough time dealing with that. So if there's anything to be said about Puja in terms of this fight, is that she's up against it. The UFC have not done her any favors and have given her a fighter that is very experienced and is very strong in the areas that Puja is weak in, right? We're all pulling for Puja, obviously. We hope that she wins it, but she's got her back against it, against Rayanne Amanda on June 8th at Louisville, Kentucky. All right, that's all we have for you for now. From me, Andrew Lu, and the production team at Live MMA, thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and Live MMA now. See you guys next time.